Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello. My name is Abel Pacheco, and thanks for joining us. You are the lucky individuals that is watching a raw, unedited, uncut version of our podcast interview with David and Julia, and we are going to have an amazing conversation talking about $400 million portfolio, 4,000 doors. So if you want to know how to get invested in a large portfolio, this should be a fun show. Grab a pen and piece of paper and take some notes here. Okay, so I think we are ready for our podcast team, for our editing team. You can start the edit now. Hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today because we have a couple of amazing guests, David and Julia. I'll let them pronounce their last names because I don't want to butcher it. And ultimately,
I want to hear it.
yeah, we want to hear them. And we are hearing from them because they together as general partners and limited partners together in a portfolio wise are invested in about $400 million worth of commercial multifamily real estate and probably some other things in there as well, about 4,000 plus doors. So we're going to break it down a little bit and talk about them and their backgrounds and also learn a little bit about some real estate investing. So David, Julia, thank you very much for joining. How's it going?
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. Pleasure having you. So for those that don't know David, he's a full-time accredited investor. He's in Austin, so he's right up the road from us in San Antonio. He's a well-respected, profit-driven entrepreneur. He's got an amazing background managing hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as a successful IT career, which we may jump into because some of you all know I had a 13-year background in IT and tech as well. So it's a common thread among a bunch of us multifamily investors, I find. And then Julia is an experienced investor who started her investment career in 2003 as a research analyst. And she spent a lot of time in high yield, distressed debt, and really special situations, event-driven investments that at working at various hedge funds. And she has a tremendous background as well as a CFA. If you're not aware what that is, it's a lot of hard, grueling work and a very specific industry recognized like education on certified financial analysts and all the good stuff, right? So anyways, let me turn it over to both of you all for a proper introduction. David, if you could just tell us a little bit who you are, what you do, and then same with you as well, Julian. Pronounce your last names correctly for us, please.
So my real first and last name are Vyacheslav Davidenko, but when I moved to the US, I just discovered that almost no one could remember and pronounce correctly my first name. So that is why, as in my childhood, I'm just using the shorter version of my last name. So instead of Vyacheslav Davidenko, I became David. Simply, easy. So I am a serial entrepreneur, established almost a dozen of different businesses in IT, high-tech, education, consulting, wealth management. For 8 years was managing almost $500 million US for my wealthy private clients. Moved to the US 5 years ago, almost from the very beginning, started to invest in multifamily when by chance I met at that time my future mentor at one of Tony Robbins events. And at the very beginning, I was investing only as a limited partner in order just to build relationships, to learn, to get all the needed knowledge, skills, and all this stuff. And then after 6 or 7 investments as a limited partner, I began a general partner. So as of today, you've heard, our whole portfolio as LP and GP, it's 23 properties, 4,000 plus. And you see as my background, so-called Leander Springs, this is, yes, so-called Crystal Lagoon and a lot of multifamily, retail, hotels, offices, restaurants in one of the best places in the US, Leander, that is the city that had highest rate of growth for many years, 12% annually. So we are not only doing our multifamily investments, but in some sense are involved in a new development as well. Julia, please.
Thank you. So my last name is Bykhovskaia, so that everyone knows. And yeah, when people ask me, well, how do you pronounce your last name? I usually say I don't, and you don't have to. Because people just go into panic when they see it. So I moved to the United States in 2001 from Moscow originally. And this is where I met David over 20 years ago, when David was helping me to apply to American business schools. And we were successful in this endeavor. And I was eventually accepted to NYU, Stern School of Business. So that's how I came to the States, to New York. I majored in finance. I loved finance. Got my chartered financial analyst, the CFA designation after business school. And for many, many years, I did work in finance, investment banks, and hedge funds as well. And what I did was called distressed debt research and analysis, basically investing in corporate distressed bonds and loans, and also equities of the companies which are in financial trouble, which is a fascinating business, very interesting and very intellectually stimulating. But after doing that for many, many years, I don't want to date myself. So I, at some point, I decided that I actually want to work for myself and not anyone else. But I didn't know how. And I started exploring various ideas and reconnected with David several years ago. And he introduced me to multifamily. And I thought that my existing skill set, I'm very analytical. Of course, I love numbers. Numbers also love me back, which is a great advantage. So I thought I could use all of my existing skill set and apply it to multifamily investing. So started investing maybe 4 years ago, also joined a mentorship program. My mentor was Joe Fairless, which is very, very helpful when you are starting out. And I'm very grateful to be his coaching client. In the past, I'm not any longer, but it was a great start. And currently, so David and I, we united under the same brand name, which is Sunrise Capital. And we are investing in multifamily properties in Texas right now. So that's a little bit about us.
All right. What a tremendous kind of initial background, just hearing everything. And also, I noticed you didn't have Texas accents. So no Austin, Texas accent.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well,
but my kids already.
They already have it, huh? So how long have you been in the U.S. or what year was it that you all came, and kind of give me that background?
So I came in 2001.
Yes.
You know, when I was young and naive and had big dreams. And yeah, David, 5 years ago.
In 2016.
Right? Gotcha. So I'll just start. I want to learn about the real estate, right? But also as you all probably know, a lot of this is just a mental, um, either limiting beliefs, breaking through some challenge or obstacles that we have the 6 inches between our 2 ears, and we're trying to figure out how to go accomplish something amazing like you all have. And one of the things I love about people from other countries that come over, it's just you are not Native Americans here, and you are like coming over from another country, figuring this thing out. 2016 to 2021, it's such a short period of time. Julia, you came over years further, but you've had a tremendous amount of success. What do you all attribute to that success and being able to achieve something so massive so quickly in your portfolio?
Let's
What is
say,
it?
yeah, in some sense, it's our desire and willingness, as Tony Robbins teaches, go outside of your comfort zone. So Julia and I, from time to time, we just make this decision. If you want to grow, if you want to develop, if you want to succeed, you just have no choice. Go outside of your comfort zone. And in some sense, one more reason, again, well known, burn all the boats. So I've just decided that no way that I will return back, because I want my kids to grow here, to get the education here. And by the way, my elder daughter, she is a graduate of University of California, Los Angeles. My youngest one, she's just 1 year old, and she was born here. But anyway, I want them to grow in this free country, to do what they like, and to succeed just because they could learn hard, they could work hard. That's it, Julia.
Yeah, I would echo that, and also in persistence. I would say persistence, because um, you can have big goals, and I think a lot of those big goals are achievable. But I think the key to achieving them is not to give up too soon. So for me, it was at some point it was hard to imagine even that I could do big deals, and not work for anyone else, because I grew up in a corporate environment. So it was a very big mental shift to think that even deciding not to work in a corporate environment was huge jump. Like, how can I not? Like, what else am I going to do? Right? All I know is distress that analysis, and I love it. What else could be out there, and how could I possibly like doing anything else but that? So it was a huge mental shift that a different future is possible, than very firm belief with absolute certainty, as Tony Robbins says, that you will find it. You will find that something that you're going to like, and then persistence. Just focus on it. Don't expect immediate results, because this is life. It doesn't just happen immediately. And don't expect any proof from anyone that your plan is going to work, but just keep doing things consistently, pursuing your goal. And more often than not, this approach eventually works. So it worked for David, it worked for me, and we're going to continue with the same mindset.
Yeah, Julia, let me add something. Focus and massive action. Plus, we both strong believers in a theory that we are highly overestimating, all of us, let's say as people, what we could achieve in 1 year, and we are underestimating what we could achieve in 10 years. That is why persistence and consistency, you just have no choice. You should be persistent and consistent in order to succeed.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're big admirers of Tony Robbins. We're using all the language. Yes.
Yeah, no, this is great because I've followed Tony Robbins. You, it sounds like, have very much intently done so as well. But there's many people that have kind of dismissed him immediately because of the guru title of whatever,
Right.
and they haven't heard all this amazing mindset. So I'm glad you're sharing it now, because somebody on the podcast is going to listen and go like, that's amazing. I'm a subscriber to the same mindset. I love the that we're just overestimating what we can do in one, but we drastically underestimate what can happen in 10 years, even 2, 3, or 4 years. There's the little one. I love it. And so just having the ability to do that is amazing. And for you that are not watching, this is an advantage, a huge one that entrepreneurs and owners and somebody like David has. He's holding this little one right now. She came on the video on a podcast, and on our video, you can't see it, but this is the opportunity. I have the same with my little ones. I have a 3 and a 1-year-old. David, I loved how you said, you want them to have that opportunity for freedom, the way we all have it now, to choose even choose this path is one that most people just take for granted. We live in one of the greatest countries in the world. I truly believe in, because we have the ability to pursue this and go create a new path for ourselves and our family. And it's just amazing hearing you all say that. So I loved it. And then making the decisions, burning the boats. I love that phrase. If you haven't heard that before, you can check out go Google Cortez. He was one of the conquistadors that came over and said, hey, we're going to win this war. In fact, he took all of his men off the ships, and he literally burned the ships so that they had no choice but to go win. And then the persistence and focus, and then action behind it, right? If you're taking education and you're like, hey, I'm going to make this happen, but you got to keep taking action. So I love all those thought processes. Thank you. David, you came from an IT background. Julia, you had a heavy finance background. What was, and then also W-2, I think I heard employees. What was the shift in your mind, or whatever the shift was, the paradigm shift, to say, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself?
I think that Julia could share. She has more to say.
Yeah, I spent more time on W-2. Yeah, since I came here, my first job was at the bank, and my last job was at the bank as well. So it was always W-2, and between it was at hedge funds, more exciting, but still W-2. I think the hardest thing was to just imagine that you could be doing something else and you actually can be paid nicely for it, because my salary at my hedge funds and banking was relatively high.
It's pretty good.
I was, and I love the lifestyle. I live in New York City. I love going to restaurants. I travel. I love vacations. So the fear was like, I don't want to lose the lifestyle. I just don't want to have a boss. Can we create something so I keep what I have or improve it, but not have a boss? So, and for me, that was very difficult adjustment in the beginning when I was deciding, and also not knowing where to start, and actually the cash flow I was able to create eventually. We didn't talk about it, but I own short-term rentals as well in Pennsylvania, and I had several in Jersey City. So this is how I was able to recreate my income, right? And now I'm making more in income that I did in my job, but it was difficult to me to even imagine that, and then take the step. And I think Tony Robbins was the first event that made me think that it's a limiting belief, as Tony says, right? That you just don't know. But because I was thinking only in finance, what can I do in finance to not have a boss? That was my start. But then I thought, why am I only looking at finance? Let's look at any possible business. Maybe I'll buy a franchise. I even tried myself in network marketing, if you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
I've tried to.
I explored that. I analyzed it. I built my spreadsheets, and I tried it for 3 months. It wasn't for me, and I realized that quickly. But it was just opening up your mind to opportunities and having the right mindset. So Tony was one, right? He said just one thing that he says, you don't need to know how. You need to make a decision, and the how will come. I promise you, the how will show up for you. But you need to make a decision with absolute certainty first. And this is what happened. Then I also read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was another mindset shift that happened. And he was talking about how 90% of the people are employees, and they can't even get out of this thinking. But you pay much less in taxes where on your own, and your lifestyle is better, and it's more interesting, and you're more exciting. You're actually more passionate about life when you don't need. My thing was like, I hate taking orders from others, and at my last job, I had it was very hierarchical place, so I had maybe 3 or 4 people who thought they were my bosses because they were, and they were giving me tasks to do. So, and I was like, no, I can't do it, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
So I think, the mindset is the most important thing. Getting to that mindset that yes, you can, and if you don't know now, you will figure it out. Just believing in it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and by the way, it happens to us so often. I mean, just you should decide first what's your goal, and then you will realize how to achieve this goal. And it
Hmm.
was in our last deal, by the way, then we needed to raise 13 million. So we never raised something even close. And at the time, then we were targeting that 316 units B class property. We were shocked. How could we do it? It's impossible. It never happens. But anyway, we both decided, let's go outside of our comfort zone. Let's just make this decision. We will find the ways how to raise this money. And by the way, we have tried different approaches. I mean, our partnership, let's say, talking to other people, looking for different ways how to raise this 13 million. But at the end, we have found a way
You're
how
also
to do it
oversubscribed.
yes, in full, let's say, accordance to all the rules, to all the legislation, but at the same time to be oversubscribed. Let's say to have the problem that is great to have, then you are taking down some of your, let's say, offers
Turning away.
or requests that you get. I want to invest with you. I'm so sorry. We are fully funded. We are not accepting subscriptions anymore. And so right now we are quite comfortable closing even bigger deals.
Boom.
300 units, 400 units,
Yeah.
50
Yeah.
million in purchase price. Okay, let's just do it.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you very much. This is awesome. Hello, hello. You're listening to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the Five Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. This is a great segue. So how in the world does someone raise $13 million? So open someone's mindset right now. Let's take it from two paradigms, because this is probably, I would imagine, a good portion of our remaining of the show here. You all have been able to raise a ton of capital to do, a ton of deals. So I know there's a difference between general partner and limited partner, and 1,000 doors active, and a bunch of doors as a passive investor. But the mindset, no matter how you cut it, it's millions and millions of dollars that we're raising to buy even bigger properties, or millions and millions of dollars of real estate. So for somebody who's never invested themselves, that's number one. And then the other person is somebody like me that's trying to get to a bigger capital raise. That's probably two different types of listener. I'm just trying to learn a little bit more about passive investing, and you guys are talking about millions of dollars. How do I even break that down? And then someone else is saying, yeah, I'd like to raise 13 million bucks too. How do I do that? So break that down a little bit into actionable items. What do you think somebody who's in a passive position should be understanding about investing? And then we'll jump to the next question in a minute. As a passive investor, what should I be thinking about when investing?
You should learn, and the best ways to learn is not in an order of, let's say, importance, not ranking it. You should try to find a mentor, someone who could teach you, but not just providing you the knowledge, but sharing his or her or their real experience of investing in a bunch of properties as a passive investor. Because I know one couple who invested in 67 properties as passive investors. Yes,
Yeah.
just go to different events. Go to events that, again, Rodcliffe, Brett Samrock, Neil Bava, or Michael Blank organize and network. Talk to people. Find those serial passive investors. Talk to them. Get their knowledge, get their skills, establish your relationships in order to become able asking questions. If you have concerns, to have someone to share these concerns with. And it could be your first step. Then next step, start subscribing to experienced general partners deals. Subscribe as just a potential passive investor. Start getting their deals. Start analyze them. Start asking questions, meeting their participating in their webinars. Again, during webinars, getting knowledge, asking questions. And in this way, quite soon, you should become comfortable to make your first investment, second investment. And that's it. Julia, what do you think? Do you agree or not?
Of course, I agree. No, I agree. So I believe, as a passive investor, should not invest completely blindly. Even though my first investment several years ago was with David, but it's another thing. I invested with a person I trusted. I have background in finance, so I did look at the numbers, but I wasn't in the industry long enough to really have a intuition about them, right? But still, regardless of whether you have intuition or not, you should teach yourself to at least understand the area, right? Because area determines a substantial portion of your success. Area where you're investing. In a bad area, you can have a beautiful looking property, but you're going to have huge delinquency. You're going to have low rents, huge concessions, crime potentially. So avoid bad areas first, and then get to know as many syndicators, if you're investing passively, as you could, and ask them about their experiences, and also ask passive investors who you're going to get to know about what they think about investing with a particular person, because you want a person to be ethical, strong analytically, to have strong asset management, right? And you don't want to be in a bad area either. And so I would say start with education. But one thing I want to add about passive investing, I stopped, because I used to invest in distressed securities, bonds, and stocks. So there, your downside is 100%. If things don't go as anticipated, usually you lose 100% of your investment, and it did occur several times. So you just need to size your position correctly. In multifamily, in my experience, and I've been watching the market very closely for 4 years, let's say, and I talk to a lot of investors, and I always ask them, tell me about your worst project, tell me about your worst investment. And I've heard gazillion of stories. I only heard about one property that actually lost money. When people complain about property underperforming, they're gonna say, oh, this indicator, such a bad person, they underperformed, they didn't communicate, and blah 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 blah. And then you ask them, okay,
Like,
well,
did you
how
lose your
much?
money?
Yeah, how
They're
much?
like,
It's
I only
only,
made 10%, not
yeah,
16.
Yes,
yes.
yes,
I only
exactly.
made 10%. They promised me, 100%. They're unhappy. I'm like, guys, you should really like dial back your expectations and be grateful that your worst case is 10% up, not down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are awesome points. Those are great. 100% agree. Tactically speaking, you want to meet as many of those general partners as possible. Get on their list, analyze the deals, go to their webinars, check it out. So that's perfect. And then from a mindset perspective, yeah, here in Julia, what is our worst case scenario? Well, the lawyers would, probably tell us not to say those certain things. So we
Right.
won't say those specific words. However, yeah, the worst case in stocks or those types of investments that Julie's doing, it's like, man, you could lose all your money. And when you look at a property, the property is ultimately still there. And it's been there for 20 years or 30 years in some cases. And the newer ones will be there for 30 or 40, 50 years, however long they're going to be there. And yeah, we're in this thing for 5 years and hoping to make our money. And it's good to hear that. You know what? A common thing I think I heard you say, Julia, is maybe your first one, you knew the numbers, but maybe didn't quite know how to,
Digest it. Right.
yeah, like even make your assumptions. Are these assumptions right? Are you going to get this rent?
Yeah.
How's our value add property actually going to work?
Yeah.
A lot of people that I talk to on their first passive investment, it's a trust thing. You knew David, you invested. I did my first couple of deals. I did the same. You want to get that education, but you want to still act. I heard David say that earlier. You just got to act at some point. If you looked at a bunch of them, you've gone to the education, you've gone to the boot camps, like time to go. Right.
Yep.
So now,
And by the way,
go
for
ahead. Go ahead.
passive investor, it's important as well to understand that what you're just talking about, not all the deals they're very successful or just successful. This is a real business.
Mm-hmm,
Sometimes,
mm-hmm,
let's say the first deal that Julia invested, she got her IRR 40% plus. Wow, she was so happy. It's
heck
great,
yeah,
and
she
so on and
was.
so
Yeah.
forth. And we have several properties that are making their regular monthly distributions during the whole COVID time. They perfectly perform. And two properties, they're even 100% occupied. Believe it or not, no delinquency at all, nothing. But we have other properties. They are just not able to make any distribution at all.
Mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm,
struggle. Tenants don't pay and they stay due to CDC declaration. They don't pay for many, many months. So anyway, this is a real business. It happens. You should be prepared that
mm-hmm,
on some deals you could make really huge returns. On others, maybe just nothing or almost nothing. You
mm-hmm.
need to understand it.
As a as an investor, you should not be investing any money you're not prepared to lose. That's the part of investing, is we could always
Exactly.
lose money. On the flip side of that, I also think if you don't invest, you're always gonna have to work. Warren Buffett's, kind of mindset, or the phrase, the saying that he is, if you don't figure out a way to make money while you sleep, you're gonna work till you die, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
it's those two paradigms. It's, on the drastic end, I could lose all my money if I don't invest. Well, don't invest what you're not prepared to. But if you don't invest, you better be prepared to work till you're dead.
Yep.
So somewhere in between that is, I've got to put some money in some place, and so God willing, everyone finds it. Well, this is awesome. So this is good for the passive investors. Now for the active investors, I want to be able to raise $13 million too someday. And I haven't been Abel Pacheco hasn't been able to raise 13 million bucks. I think the biggest capital raise that we've been a part of is $8 million. It was a good go. It's 260 plus unit property. So it was a good size chunk, but it still wasn't 13. So give somebody some insight, like somebody that's starting at their first capital raise, give them some knowledge they can apply, as well as a more experienced operator syndicator like myself. I'm now, I want to increase that capital raise. Give us some wisdom around capital raise here.
Well, first thing I would say, this is the industry, real estate in general, I think, where people partner up, right? And on our most recent deals, we also had a lot of partners. So 15 million was not David and I by no means, right? It was several
Team
partners.
effort.
Yeah, several partners raising money.
Strong partners, several strong partners.
Very strong partners. We're very lucky, and this is what you should be thinking about as a syndicator. You know, it's a choice. You can close a smaller deal with only the money you can raise yourself, or if you choose to go bigger, you can, because you will find partners who would be willing to partner with you, right? And for capital raise in general, I think, you know, syndicators know that it's not anything new, but you should be always marketing, always talking to people, or have someone on your team who wants to take on this investor relations role and constantly talking to people about what you do and showing them opportunities, right? For me, like, my strong suit is analyzing deals and asset management. So capital raising is not something that I really love to focus on. But I didn't, you know, people who invested in our recent deals through me, I wasn't asking them for money, to be honest. You know, just, you know, they knew that I was doing multifamily, right? And they knew that because I was trying to kind of stay out there. You know, I have a newsletter that I send out, not very often, but they, you know, it keeps me on their minds. They know that Julia is doing something. Julia is smart. Julia is investing in real estate, and Julia has an investment opportunity. So some of the people who invested with me, I've never met. You know, we spoke on the phone. You know, one person spoke on the phone 2 years ago, spoke on the phone last year. It was just an introductory call, and here, you know, it was an inbound interest for this deal. This person said,
Julia, I think that maybe we should mention that our last deal, it was 506C, accredited investors only, and we didn't need to meet in person all of our investors before raising the money. But if you are raising the money according to 506B, for sure you should have pre-existing relationships with your investors, and it means that really no choice just to have a couple of phone calls and that's it. You should try to do your best in order to meet those potential investors in person, talk to them, build these not only relationships but also trust, and only then, according to all the rules and laws, you should be able to raise all the money. But from my personal experience, again, just be as much as possible active while networking, communicating with other passive investors, being passive investor yourself. Just show how experienced, skilled, professional you become as a future potential general partner, and then let's say 12 months later, then you announce your first deal, you will have dozens, if not hundreds of people who are familiar with you. They know you already. They are comfortable to invest with you. So build your relationships, build trust, show that you are the real committed professional. One of the ways how to become able to raise the money.
All right. All right. It's good. It's and somebody's listening to this, I know it right now, and they go, that's too simple.
And add. Or and how Julia did. Join someone else who is more experienced as a junior partner, and you don't know how much money could you raise from your investors. Just say it, guys. I have no idea. I will raise something, but I could help you with that. I could be devoted to that. I will be working as a junior team member. Are you fine? Yes, I'm fine. Let's work together. I don't rely on your money raise. All the money we will raise ourselves, and if you bring something, it's great. And you become able to test to know how much money could you potentially raise.
Yeah. And I say that because I'm listening and I've raised millions of dollars, and I've done this a number of times as a general partner. We're in 7 active GP deals at this point,
Nice.
and I'm still listening and I'm going, golly, I need to do more of these basic
All of us.
foundational things. Yeah,
All
they're
of us.
basic foundational. Like my head is jogging all the people that I haven't talked to in a year or so. And I'm like, I got to go get in front of them. But it is really that simple. It's persistence, it's continued action, kind of going back to what you said in the beginning. It's, ongoing and determined. I'm going to burn the boats behind me and I'm going to make it happen. It may take you longer or shorter than some other individuals, and that's okay. But everyone that's listening right now, if you think you can't, you absolutely can. The only person that's going to tell you yes or no is just going to be you. So make it happen, right? This has been a really awesome conversation. So I know we're towards our time. Let me allow you, please give us where we should reach out to you. So if there's somebody that's listening that wants to talk with you about your investments, about your portfolio, about investing in the future, how to get into your world, where should they reach out to? David, Julia?
So we have a brand new website, which is sunrisecapitalgroup.com. And people can subscribe to our newsletters or submit invest with us form if you're interested in our deals. And if you want to reach out to us personally, my email is julia@suncapus.com, and David's is VD, so Victory David at suncapus.com.
So we have created 2 mirrors for our website. If by chance sunrisecapitalgroup.com you're not comfortable with this long version, please use just the shorter one, suncapus.com. Very simple.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much. And who do you actually want to reach out to you?
Anyone who is interested in multifamily in general.
All right. Very good.
Potential partners, potential investors, any people who are interested in talking more about opportunities.
Let's say that this is not our job. This is our life. So we are quite open for different type of partnerships. We are open to help. So people helped us several years ago, and we are open to help others.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And with the last couple of minutes or however long you want to give us, is there anything we didn't talk about, anything we didn't cover, anything you want to bring some exposure to, something that's going on in y'all's world that's just important we should highlight? Anything in general? The floor is yours.
Yes, let me add something from my side. I don't agree with the approach that you don't need special experience, knowledge, skills in order to find, buy, and operate multifamily property, because this approach exists. No, you should have everything: knowledge, skills, relationships, partners, team, vendors. And moreover, in order to succeed, you really should be full-time in this business. It's unbelievably hard to have W2 job and at the same time to invest as general partner. In order to succeed, you should be full-time in this. Julia, what do you think?
I think if you want to be an operator, you cannot do it with having another corporate job or running another business. You have to be full-time. If you're just investing passively, obviously you can do it, but
yes,
as a true engaged general partner, it's indeed very hard.
And while choosing the deal to invest, please pay attention to your general partner's sponsorship team. Are they full-time sponsors? Are they full-time in this business, or they have W2 job, they have some other businesses? It's just different.
Yeah.
It works differently.
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I invested, to give some insight on this, 2019 as a new general partner. I was a general partner. I was working W-2 and I had my first one. However, my team was full time. I was the solo W-2 kind of part timer, and I knew as me jumping in, I was riding shotgun on this deal. They were doing the work. They were hitting it hard, and I knew so something happens. They're absolutely full time. But anyways, last year was my first W-2 where I finally left in 2020, and it was it's a mindset because hey, if you are investing with a team that has their primary commitment that's not to you and your money into this property, it could be at mercy. So yeah, that makes sense. Anything else? Anything else that's on your mind?
I think we covered a lot.
Thank you so much for giving us this unique opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's our pleasure and honor to share our experience, to share what we know.
It was my pleasure, my honor, and I sincerely appreciate the time. And for our listeners, if you got some value from the show, I know you did, go to our podcast, subscribe, rate, and leave a written review. Go reach out to David and Julia, ping them, let them know you heard us. You heard our conversation on the 5 Talents podcast. They would love to hear from you, and we appreciate it. We'll see you on our next show. So again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host. Julia, David, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who follow their dreams and achieve massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us your favorite guest. Give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents podcast.